And we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome back. Another episode of 17 and some change. I'm EcuDes17, and I'm here to give you my 2 cents. Um, Another hump day, another Wednesday. I'm glad you guys could make it. I'm glad I made it. So I'm glad we got this show on the road. It's a very uh, important time of the year. Uh, it's a popular time of the year. It's Christmas time once again in the city, and that it is what it is. You know, um, a lot's going on out there. People are all over the place. It's very trafficy. Stores are out of things. Parking doesn't exist. Lines are endless. But hey, that's the good old beautiful holiday season, right? Um, but we'll get to Christmas today. We'll talk about Christmas a little bit, just because this is a Christmas time of the year, or Christmas doesn't necessarily mean the entire episode has to be a Christmas themed episode, right? Um, just a few quick things on the agenda today. Um, I I'll start off by explaining to y'all the um, if you notice there are now um, videos of Madden playthroughs on my channel. Um, so I started a Madden franchise recently, um, on All Madden, and I'm playing with the Cleveland Browns. Uh, the goal is to turn the franchise around, get Shador Sanders specifically a Super Bowl ring. Um, Maybe more, though we'll have to see about that. Like the real goal is to turn them into a Super Bowl champion. I don't know if I'll continue playing like seasons after that. Um, I decided to do this. I had some hesitation. I was like, does, you know, I didn't want posting these playthroughs to kind of sully the brand or to dampen the brand, um, or to confuse people or to signify to people that uh, to not take the brand serious, like um, whoever runs it is a gamer. Um, Even though that's a very old stereotype that gamers can't be trusted as like productive individuals. But yeah, I mean, not that I have to justify or anything like that, but I play video games uh to decompress, and it's always been all right. My laptop's charging now. It wasn't charging. I was like, hey, what are you doing? And it was almost dead. Because I just found it again, which is good. Um but yeah, no, I mean, a nice video game is good to decompress. I take one day off a week where I do absolutely nothing. Well, where I don't do anything like business or like work related. um I feel like if that's one of the first things that the Bible mentions, I feel like human, they must be on to whoever, God, humanity, they must be on to something when they establish the Sabbath. You know what I mean? I feel like people always wonder about like the balance between productivity um, and chill. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's working 6 days a week and then taking that one day off, like it was suggested in the Bible. You know, so it's video games. They remain to me a really good way to decompress, to get your mind, to immerse yourself into another reality. Um, and it gets harder and harder to do as we age. The more responsibilities and stuff we have, the more we appreciate that recluse that escape, but the less we're able to truly feel that immersion like we did when we were kids. um I think there's a lot to be I think there's I think philosophy and video games do go hand in hand. Video games and philosophy do go hand in hand. Um, so me playing Madden, and I thought about it. I want to do other games in the future too. Hopefully someday I can get one of those things where we could get like I'll figure out how to do like video while I'm playing and stuff like that for like different Telltale games or Telltale style games. I think uh, ph- philosophy could touch almost anything. There's a philosophy of everything, and that's kind of how I justified creating a philosophy forum, right? Because it's not, if it was a forum just for the topic philosophy, that would be one thing, but it's a forum that discusses the philosophy of everything and anything. And I think that's different. um I think you could see that in video games. um especially like if you're a football fan and you're watching this Madden playthrough, you're gonna learn. Like I know I had an episode about it, and I know it's a niche uh group, but you'll see like the type of personnel that I prioritize. My decision making process on and off the field, offense, defense. And not only that, you'll see patience, and you'll see perseverance and consistency and determination and stuff like that. um if you don't want to hear any spoilers, if you plan on um watching the season unfold, then skip ahead. But there were times like we we started out bad, right? We started out bad. I don't know how many games into the season it took me to get the first win. And you're sitting there at 1-10. At one point in the season, I'm sitting there, I'm 1-10, and all these videos are coming later. Right now, I have like up to the second preseason game uploaded, but I'm sitting there at 1-10, and self doubt starts to creep in and stuff like that, and it's like, wait, well, what if what if I'm not as good as I was before? Like, what if I can't like turn this team around? What if Madden is different now? What if it's like not the same? You know, um, but that's part of it. That's part of it. But I don't quit, and I keep playing, and I keep finding a way to find a way to find faith in myself that I'll be able to get it done and win a Super Bowl. And so with that being said, we've just won two straight. That doesn't mean anything, but it does take us from 1-10 to 3-10. It does show that there are things that we can do to win some games. We're gonna have two first round draft picks. Um, One of them is gonna be a top five pick. So, and then most likely, unless we win out and we end up like right outside the top five, which hey, if it happens, it happens. Then I'll draft wherever I'm drafting. Um, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of our next topic. You know, um, just the idea of taking on a challenge, that is taking on a challenge and not knowing whether you can beat it or not. Now in the instance of the next topic, they didn't end up beating the challenge, but they should still be applauded for taking the challenge. And what am I talking about in regards to that? Well, I'm talking about the Jake Paul uh, and Andrew Tate fights. Um, Jake Paul was fighting a monster. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Anthony Joshua is that guy. I mean, Anthony Joshua was like a top tier heavyweight. Like he's either the best heavyweight in the world or a top five, um, hands down. And you know, and um, and he's got the size on Paul, and Paul wanted to see. Paul. He heard all the noise about, you only fight this, you only fight that, you only fight this. And same thing with Tate. He went against somebody that was bigger. He went against somebody that was a champion of his promotion. And you know, just to challenge yourself, you know. And I don't know where I don't know where all the hate comes from. You know, I I don't necessarily like the narratives around any of these types of fights. They've all seemed to devolved into a lot of cynicism. Like nobody, and you could say, oh well, they're sucky fights, but nobody's like, are you not entertained? Like, is this not entertainment for you? Like, everybody's so cynical about them. Like, oh well, they're just doing it for the bag. Oh, they just got the bag, and like it's always something to say. Jake Paul, like he picks on, like he fights opponents that he should beat. Freaking, we're talking Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz, and people still talking shit about him. Like, oh, he's picking on older people, whatever. Mike Tyson, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. We want to see him uh, in a real fight, but it's all staged, but it's all for the bag. And but like, let's see you against a real fight. And now we saw you against a real fight, but ha ha ha. now you look stupid. Like, same thing with Andrew Tate in regards to like him looking stupid. Like, oh, it's just for show, it's just for a bag. But now, haha, he looks stupid because he didn't win. And like, oh, you're saying you're the top G, this, that, and the other thing, but you can't no more after getting your ass kicked like that. And let me preface, let me say that I'm not an Andrew Tate fan. Um, is there maybe like 20% of his persona that's uh that has a legitimate message? Like, there is t- at least 20% legitimacy to his overall message, but you know, everything needs to be taken in context. Everything needs to be weighed against other philosophical ideas. Um, so I don't like that heavy alpha male, rah rah, red pill, fucking own the room, like uh machismo type stuff. I'm way more artistic than that, uh but he like anybody, there's some truth to what he says sometimes, and I think there's truth to his defense of himself, which is, hey, at least I went out there, like at least I put myself in the ring. And that's my thought. It's like, people like, oh, look how terrible he looked, he looks like a clown, like he looks like stupid, like doofus. And I'm like, did y'all see Nate Robinson in the ring? Like, sorry to call out Nate like that, like dropping names and stuff, but like, how do you think you would look in the ring? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially against Chase Demore. Um, I know a lot of people who, that's a lie. That's an exaggeration. But I'm actually somebody who has boxed. Not in like sanctioned matches or anything like that, but I've spent summers with boxing coaches, and I've sparred my fair share of spars, and have dozens of hours, hundreds of hours, if probably thousands of hours on bags. But if I'm on like TV against Chase Demore or whatever, like, I'll probably look stupid. Like, I not probably, I definitely look stupid. Like, and Chase Demore looks stupid sometimes during that fight too. And I don't know, man. It's like, not everybody's gonna go out there looking like a professional. Like, he was a former professional, but I just don't really, I just don't really hate on people that much. You know, um, at least they tried the thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like he looked like a freaking uh, a deer learning how to walk. You know what I mean? He boxed. He threw punches. There was a lot of clinching in that fight. There was a lot of clinching, and I didn't realize how much, you know, um, of a size differential there was. I didn't realize how much of a size differential there was with the Jake Paul fight either. But both fighters went out there and they tried their best, and they got punched in the face. And I don't think people say, "Oh, they lost," or I don't think any of either of them lost aura. I feel like, unfortunately, a lot, not all of, but there's a percentage of people who are really mad at these guys, either Jake Paul or more specifically Andrew Tate, who are like, they sound like scorned lovers. They sound like people their idol, their hero got beat, and they can't, they can't justify it, or they can't handle it, and they went, oh, you lied, you said you were the top G. And then there are others who hated him prior, you know what I mean. um but yeah, you know, and it's like, our influencers, who are your role models? Should we have role models? Is there an appropriate age for role models? Are influencers uh important for society, or who should listen? Should people be influenced by influencers and stuff like that? And I don't think influencers are inherently bad. You know what I mean? Me and somebody were having a conversation about it, and they were like, "Oh, imagine being like a grown ass man and like having people like you look up to like that or whatever." And but they didn't use that terminology. I use that terminology, look up to. Um, but it's like, yeah, imagine, not so good. Uh, Acceptable for young men, 15 to 22, teenagers and young men. Um, but I say that even as an adult, you you're definitively permitted to get inspiration from those around you, ideas, inspiration, ideas. um if somebody has been where you want to be and who has done the things that you want to do, there's nothing wrong with listening to these people, and admiring them, admiring their capabilities. um So I don't think there's anything wrong with admiration, um, for influencers, for athletes, for any anybody that does something that you think is difficult or competent or cool. I think admiration is well deserved. Um, it's just, don't have only one source, you know what I mean, and cross reference ideas and stuff like that. um that's the danger. That's the danger. It's when you find one cool person and you're like, all right, this is the person whose opinion I need to like take on every subject matter. um and it's like, no, no, context is everything, always. And so yeah, I don't think they're inherently bad. Um, um, so we have Christmas in what, X amount of hours. We have Christmas coming up here right around the bend. Um, I want um it's Christmas Eve right now, but I want uh I'm curious to know, I'm always curious to know what people got for gifts, and so actually that would be that'll be something fun to talk with my coworkers about and stuff. And if you guys leave a drop a comment, let me know what was the least expected and or coolest thing that you got for Christmas this year. Um, and I hope a lot of I hope a lot of you decide to choose peace, over sometimes even over tradition, you know, and I thought the other day I was like, I wonder how I wonder how a minimalist like shops for Christmas for like all their people. Like like what do they do? Cause like nah, they probably just shop normal or whatever. But oh, speaking of, look, I got this thing. I got this fucking thing for a secret Christmas thing. Yeah, I think he's cool. I like him. This is I like the teeth. I like the teeth. I think that's pretty cool. This fugling guy, this fugly thing. I guess you could collect them all. You can collect them all. Um, which would be a perfect freaking segment into the big announcement, the semi big announcement that I have. Um, skipping right over this day in history, just because that was too good of a segment when we're talking about you can catch them all. So I've mentioned in the past how I'm working on a project. I have been working on a project that uh, is going to parallel and rival everything that I've done up to this point. Um, so right now my lane has been philosophy, and this is as everything almost like we established. This is going to be philosophy adjacent. Okay. The website is under construction. Um, I'm launching a superhero universe. Um, I want you to think Power Rangers meets Pokemon meets Smallville meets The Wire. Um, though I just threw in The Wire at the end recently because I've heard uh because it comes up a lot as a comparison when I'm laying out some of my visions to GPT. um the Wire comes up as a comparison a lot to some of the things that I'm describing. It's gonna be fantastical and magical and all these things like that, but it's also going to be very gritty. It's also going to be grounded and gritty and have a layer of realism, and it's going to give me an opportunity to embed philosophical concepts into the stories and into the characters and stuff like that. Um, I draw inspiration for this universe from the real world. and so it's basically a massive world building endeavor on my part. Um, and I like how it looks. I like how it looks. I do it for the passion and um and I really like, if I like it, you guys should like it too. Um there's right now we have um over 100 characters, all with concept art. Um we have a handful of episodes. We have the first few episodes. I have um you know, character script, concept art, um the world's kind of, locations. I have different locations and stuff like that, and it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be really cool. um you're gonna have good guys, you're gonna have bad guys, you're gonna have um ambiguity, um and often even with the hero and or the villain themselves, you're gonna have ambiguity. you know um it's gonna be, once again, grounded in psychology and philosophy, and it's gonna be, um it's gonna be worth seeing, right? So I'm really excited about that. um Stay tuned, and I'll be able to tell more about some of the characters and some of the story arcs and some of the ideas, like what it is about outside of, which really sells it. Like that's what really sells it. You want to hear it. So, it's we have a superhero universe. There was a situation that infected uh, uh, um, a portion of, of our population, and they began either morphing or showing extra human type. They became like mutants, right? And um and a lot of times, uh their mutations tied into their uh inner psyche, um to their subconscious, or to their persona, to their what they have been presenting to the world. Um, so just for a very, very crude example, um, you would have somebody, um, who dedicated their lives to uh, 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 the research of doorknobs. You would have this person maybe turn into Doorknob Man, and he can, you know turn anything. He could turn anything into a doorknob, or he can open any doorknob in the world or whatever. Um, and again, that's just a really crude example. Um, we got some cool characters. We got some really cool characters. Uh, um, we got little funny guys. We got big brutes. We got females. Um, elemental, physical, like athletic, and different stuff like that. Our world has our protagonist starts off as a cop. So our world has police drama. It has street drama. There are gangs inside of our world. There are, established schools, and there's different traditions, established traditions and culture. Um, and so that's that's right here. That's right here. That's right around the that's right around the pike. Um, when I start season two, I'll start, which I'll talk to you guys. And I'm not putting the website link up yet because, like I said, the website's still under construction, but the website's right around the corner. I'm gonna put episode one. Um, and so how I'm doing the episodes, how I've been doing the episodes is they're slideshows. They're slideshows, and you get pictures, and you get dialogue, and some narrative. You get narrative, you get dialogue, and you get pictures. And so um, I'm gonna do episode one. Episode one is gonna be free, and then episode two, three, and four are gonna be 99 cents a piece, and then episode five is gonna be free, etc., moving forward, because five is a big episode. Five, so the first episode is important to kind of like set the tone and introduce like the main character and stuff like that. um and then the fifth episode is kind of like a crescendo episode. There's a lot happening in episode five. um and I would say you would arguably be right in the know, right where you have to be watching episode one and five. um you might want two as well. um So in episode one, we see our protagonist is in the academy. Episode two, we get introduced. He starts his journey as a law enforcement officer, and then episode one and two, um, but then five closes that sandwich, closes a sandwich. Um, So that's what I'm gonna do. One and five are gonna be free, and then two and three and four are gonna be 99 cents a piece, and stuff like that. And I hopefully I want to take this. I want to take this all the way. I want to go as far as um humanly possible with this universe. For my own sake, yeah, but also like why not? I mean, we know the troubles that like all of these other places have had and stuff like that, and it's like I feel like with just like with everything I do, I feel like there's a net positive to it. Like I wouldn't want to share with the world a superhero story and a bunch of characters that I thought were like lamos, right? And I know taste is subjective, but like I have artistic taste. Um and I know it's not good to toot your own horn and to say things like that, you know. Um Critics have applauded the critics who I have shown concept art to have applauded it. I think yeah, no, I think y'all would really get a kick out of it. I think it's so cool. I wish I could tell you more. Like I wish I could like just like spill all the beans and just like uh just say what I like. But you'll see, you'll see. It's gonna start coming out slowly, and I'll keep you guys with updates and stuff like that. But I'm still maintaining and growing the lifestyle portion of my brand, Ecudes Ventures. But uh, this is gonna be um, something really good. It's gonna be something really good. Fingers crossed, of course, knock on wood, and God willing, right? But yeah, and so this day in history, um, I'm gonna let you guys look for yourself. There was some shitty things that happened on this day in history. There was war, and then other stuff. Um, but it's Christmas Eve, right? And Christmas Eve, we got to be happy and stuff like that. So we're gonna try to leave off on a happy note. Um, if it snows on your head, then let it be on Christmas. If it's ever gonna snow on your head, it should happen on Christmas. And I hope you guys get really good gifts. Um, all the gifts, or better yet, I hope much better yet, I hope the gifts that you guys have gotten your loved ones are received warmly and kindly, and they like them. I hope everybody watching has safety, and peace, and nothing bad happens to anybody. And but yeah, nah, like have a good Christmas and stuff like that. And we got one more episode in this season. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do one more next week, and then I'm gonna learn some stuff. Hopefully, maybe, potentially, we'll see about like. I mean, you guys deserve it for sure. You guys definitely deserve it. But like, learning how to like, and I read it and I worked it and I almost had it, but like, I just didn't follow through. But coming back with the knowledge on like getting the screen where I'm talking and like there's other things like I could post other things while I'm talking. It could be a bloop and then a freaking bloop will just bloop. Or like I can like pull up an article and like you guys see the article and then I'm talking in the background. Pull up a clip, whatever. I gotta learn how to be able to like pull up clips. Um and then getting my face on the PlayStation, that's way in the future. I have no interest in doing that with like Madden playthroughs or anything like that, though. I mean, it would benefit you guys to kind of hear my thought process as well as I'm playing these games, like, ah, shit, 4th and 10, blah blah blah, I got a punt or whatever. But you get the gist. You'll get the gist. You watch enough games or whatever. um But yeah, so till next time. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all the things. I've already said all the goodbyes and stuff like that. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. All right. Goodbye.